Driving in America can be a daily challenge, but in some cities, it's a full-on nightmare. Between endless traffic jams, crumbling road infrastructure, reckless drivers, and sky-high accident rates, certain cities stand out as the absolute worst places to get behind the wheel. In this video, we're breaking down the top 10 worst cities to drive in America, where commuting can feel more like a survival test than a simple trip across town. Before we get started, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest deep dives into life in America. And let us know in the comments what's the most frustrating city you've ever driven in. It might just make the list. Number 10, Atlanta, Georgia. It consistently ranks among the worst cities to drive in America, and the numbers paint a clear picture of why. The city experiences tens of thousands of car accidents each year, with roughly 400 annual fatalities and more than 20,000 injuries tied to roadway incidents. Commuters face long daily drives, with the average one-way commute sitting at 32 minutes, among the highest in the country. Over the course of a year, this adds up to nearly 74 hours spent in traffic, leaving Atlanta drivers stressed, fatigued, and more prone to mistakes. On top of that, traffic congestion costs the average driver around $1,200 annually in wasted fuel and lost time, making Atlanta not just dangerous, but also one of the most expensive places to drive. The city's highway design and traffic flow add to its deadly reputation. Interstate 285, nicknamed the Perimeter, is infamous nationwide, moving more than 2 million vehicles daily and often cited as America's deadliest highway per mile, with around 370 fatal crashes reported each year. Dangerous interchanges like the I-20, I-75, 85 downtown connector are notorious hotspots, combining tight merge lanes, high speeds, and heavy volumes that create a perfect storm for collisions. To make matters worse, Atlanta's rapid population growth, booming logistics industry, and constant influx of new drivers, including tourists unfamiliar with the city's road network, amplify the risk. For many residents, driving in Atlanta isn't just frustrating, it's a daily gamble where congestion, aggressive driving, and poor infrastructure collide to make the roads among the most hazardous in the U.S. Number 9, Miami, Florida. It is often ranked among the most dangerous and frustrating cities to drive in America, and the statistics back it up. The city records over 65,000 crashes annually, with nearly 300 traffic fatalities and more than 30,000 injuries tied to roadway accidents. Miami's driving culture is infamous for speeding, tailgating, and reckless lane changes, earning Florida a reputation as one of the deadliest states for motorists. On average, drivers in Miami spend about 64 hours per year stuck in traffic, losing both time and money, roughly $1,100 annually in congestion costs. Add to that the city's extremely high auto insurance rates, averaging nearly $3,500 per year, and it becomes clear why driving here is both dangerous and expensive. The road environment makes things even more chaotic. Miami's streets are a unique mix of tourists, retirees, commuters, and commercial drivers, each with very different driving habits, leading to constant confusion and risk. High-volume routes like I-95, the Palmetto Expressway, and US 1 are some of the busiest in the country, carrying hundreds of thousands of vehicles daily and recording some of Florida's highest crash rates. Pedestrian and cyclist dangers also stand out. Miami ranks among the most hazardous cities for non-motorists, with a pedestrian fatality rate well above the national average. Combine unpredictable tourist traffic with aggressive local drivers, and you get a city where being behind the wheel feels like entering a high-stakes battleground every day. Number 8, Chicago, Illinois. It is notorious for its dangerous and congested roads, making it one of the worst cities to drive in America. The city reports over 100,000 crashes annually, with more than 200 traffic-related deaths and tens of thousands of injuries tied to collisions. Chicago drivers also face some of the worst congestion in the country, losing an estimated 155 hours each year stuck in traffic, the equivalent of nearly a full week wasted behind the wheel. The financial toll is severe, with congestion costs averaging $200 to $600 per driver annually, not including Chicago's notoriously high parking fees, tolls, and fuel costs. Insurance premiums also reflect this risk, with Chicago drivers paying over $2,400 per year on average, among the highest in the Midwest. The city's road conditions add even more challenges for drivers. Harsh Midwestern winters bring snow, ice, and potholes, contributing to dangerous driving conditions and frequent roadway damage. Major arteries like the downright Expressway, Kennedy Expressway, and Eisenhower Expressway rank among the busiest and most crash-prone in the United States. Aggressive driving behaviors, combined with constant construction projects and heavy truck traffic, only worsen the risks. Pedestrian safety is another concern, as Chicago consistently records hundreds of pedestrian injuries and fatalities each year, particularly in densely populated neighborhoods. With extreme congestion, unpredictable weather, and high accident rates, driving in Chicago is less about convenience and more about survival on the road. Number 7. Washington, D.C. It ranks as one of the most stressful and dangerous cities to drive in America. Despite its relatively small size, the capital experiences tens of thousands of crashes annually, with hundreds of serious injuries and dozens of fatalities each year. One major factor is congestion. Lose over 150 hours per year sitting in traffic, making it one of the most gridlocked cities in the country. Insurance premiums reflect these risks, with average costs sitting at over $2,000 annually, significantly higher than the national average. Parking is another headache, with some of the most expensive rates in the nation, and unpredictable road closures due to government events or security measures add to the constant frustration. Road infrastructure and driving behavior amplify the danger. The city's complex layout of circles, one-way streets, and narrow avenues confuses even experienced drivers, while aggressive lane changes and red-light running are common causes of accident. The I-40/95 Capitol Beltway and routes like I-66 and New York Avenue are notorious hotspots for congestion and collisions, often ranking among the most dangerous stretches of roadway in the region. Pedestrian and cyclist safety is also a major concern, with D.C. recording some of the highest per capita pedestrian accident rates in the U.S. Severe weather, from heavy rain to snowstorms, further complicates commutes. Altogether, Washington, D.C. poses a unique mix of heavy congestion, dangerous intersections, and chaotic driving patterns that make it one of the worst places in the nation to be behind the wheel. Number 6. Los Angeles, California. It is infamous for having some of the worst driving conditions in the United States. Drivers here face hundreds of thousands of crashes every year, with thousands of serious injuries and hundreds of traffic-related deaths. The city is home to some of the most congested highways in the world, including the I-405, I-10, and US 10011, where rush hour can stretch for miles and last most of the day. On average, LA drivers lose nearly 120 hours per year stuck in traffic, making commuting both exhausting and dangerous. Insurance premiums reflect this high-risk environment, with the average cost well over $2,500 annually, some of the highest in California. Add in steep gas prices and expensive parking, and driving in Los Angeles becomes not only risky but also financially draining. The city's car culture and sprawling design make driving unavoidable, which only intensifies the danger. Aggressive lane changes, high-speed driving, and distracted motorists contribute to frequent collisions on both highways and local streets. Intersections like Hollywood Boulevard and Highland Avenue, and stretches of the I-11 freeway, are notorious for high accident rates. The sheer volume of cars also puts pedestrians and cyclists at constant risk, as Los Angeles consistently ranks near the top for pedestrian fatalities in the country. Compounding the issue are natural hazards. Sudden rainstorms can make slick roads treacherous, while wildfires and mudslides sometimes force road closures. Altogether, Los Angeles represents a perfect storm of overcrowded roads, dangerous driving behavior, and endless congestion, cementing its place as one of the most difficult and dangerous cities to drive in America. Number 5. New York City, New York. It is one of the toughest and most stressful places to drive in America, thanks to its extreme congestion, aggressive drivers, and high accident rates. The city records tens of thousands of crashes every year, leading to thousands of injuries and hundreds of fatalities. Driving in Manhattan, Brooklyn, or Queens means battling gridlock where average speeds can drop below 10 miles per hour during peak hours, making even short trips last an eternity. Parking is another nightmare, with spots costing anywhere from $300 to $800 a month in some neighborhoods, forcing many drivers to circle for nearly an hour just to find a space. Insurance costs are also among the highest in the nation, with averages exceeding $3,000 annually, largely due to the sheer density of vehicles and high accident frequency. What makes driving in New York even more dangerous is the mix of cars, pedestrians, cyclists, and delivery trucks all fighting for limited road space. Busy intersections such as Times Square, Canal Street, and Atlantic Avenue are hotspots for frequent collisions. Pedestrian fatalities remain a serious concern, as New York consistently ranks among the top U.S. cities for such incidents, despite safety initiatives like Vision Zero. Aggressive honking, sudden lane changes, and frequent double parking create unpredictable conditions for even the most experienced driver. Add in snowstorms, flooding from heavy rains, and constant road construction, and it's clear why New York City is widely considered one of the most chaotic and dangerous places to drive in the entire country. Number 4. Boston, Massachusetts. It is notorious for being one of the most frustrating and difficult cities to drive in, thanks to its old, confusing road layouts and aggressive driving culture. Unlike most American cities designed with grids, Boston's streets evolved from old cow paths and colonial routes, which means they are winding, narrow, and often illogical. Drivers frequently deal with unclear intersections, abrupt one-way streets, and roads that seem to lead nowhere, making navigation stressful even with GPS. On top of that, Boston consistently ranks near the top in accident frequency, with drivers experiencing collisions about once every 5 to 6 years on average, well above the national average of once every 10 years. Insurance rates reflect this reality, with premiums that can soar past $2,500 annually, particularly for younger drivers. Traffic congestion is another major challenge in Boston, where commutes can drag on far longer than the city's size would suggest. Rush hour often clogs key roadways like the Massachusetts Turnpike, I-93, and Storrow Drive, while heavy pedestrian and cyclist activity in neighborhoods like Cambridge and Back Bay adds even more hazard. Boston drivers also have a reputation for being impatient, quick to honk, and aggressive with lane changes, which can be intimidating for outsiders. Combine all this with frequent snowstorms, icy roads, and limited parking options, and Boston has earned its reputation as one of the most chaotic and dangerous driving environments in the United States. Number 3. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It is one of the most stressful and dangerous cities for drivers in America, largely because of its mix of dense urban traffic, aging infrastructure, and high crash rates. Drivers in Philly face congested roads like I-76, the Schuylkill Expressway, and Roosevelt Boulevard, which is infamous as one of the most hazardous urban roads in the country due to its confusing lanes, heavy traffic, and high speed. In fact, Philadelphia reports tens of thousands of crashes each year, with more than 100 fatalities and over 10,000 injuries, making driving here especially risky. Insurance premiums are some of the highest in Pennsylvania, with many drivers paying well above $2,000 annually, reflecting the high accident and theft rates. Aggressive driving and road rage add another layer of danger for Philadelphia motorists. The city has one of the highest rates of reckless driving citations in the state, and drivers here are notorious for rolling through stop signs, running red lights, and weaving through traffic. Parking is another nightmare, with limited availability and expensive fees making it stressful for commuters and residents alike. Add in frequent road construction, potholes, and winter storms, and Philadelphia consistently ranks as one of the worst cities to drive in the U.S., where frustration and danger go hand in hand every time you hit the road. Number 2. San Francisco, California. It is one of the most notoriously difficult cities to drive in, thanks to a mix of geography, congestion, and high accident rate. The city's steep, winding hills are iconic but dangerous for drivers, especially in wet or foggy conditions, when visibility and braking become serious challenges. Major routes like I-80, the Bay Bridge, and US 101 funnel massive amounts of traffic into the city each day, leading to constant gridlock. On average, drivers in San Francisco lose over 100 hours annually sitting in traffic, one of the highest delays in the country. The heavy congestion contributes to more than 30,000 crashes every year, with hundreds of serious injuries and fatalities recorded on city streets. Insurance premiums reflect these risks, averaging $2,500, $3,000 per year, making San Francisco one of the most expensive places in America to own and operate a vehicle. The problems don't end with traffic and crashes. Parking and pedestrian density add an extra layer of difficulty. San Francisco has one of the worst parking shortages in the U.S., with hourly garage rates often exceeding $10 and monthly permits costing hundreds of dollars. This forces drivers to circle blocks searching for a spot, which not only worsens congestion, but also increases the chance of fender bender. The city's high number of pedestrians and cyclists adds another risk factor, as drivers must stay hyper-alert to avoid collisions at crosswalks and bike lanes. Combine this with the city's foggy climate, which often blankets streets in low visibility, and San Francisco becomes a near nightmare for daily commuters. Driving here is not just about dealing with traffic, it's about navigating one of the most stressful, expensive, and hazardous driving environments in the United States. Number 1, Detroit, Michigan. It has earned a reputation as one of the worst cities to drive in the United States, largely due to poor road conditions, high accident rates, and rampant auto theft. Once the hub of America's car industry, Detroit ironically suffers from some of the nation's most deteriorated infrastructure. Nearly 60% of roads in the Detroit metro area are rated as being in poor or mediocre condition, forcing drivers to constantly navigate potholes, uneven pavement, and poorly maintained intersections. These hazards contribute to thousands of crashes every year, with Wayne County consistently ranking near the top in Michigan for roadway fatality. On average, Detroit sees over 15,000 traffic accidents annually, many of them linked to speeding, reckless driving, or weather-related issues like icy roads in winter. But perhaps Detroit's biggest driving problem is its staggering rate of auto theft, which directly affects motorists' safety and cost. Detroit regularly ranks among the top cities in America for vehicle thefts, with tens of thousands of cars stolen annually, pushing insurance rates to some of the highest in the nation, averaging over $5,000 per year for full coverage, more than double the U.S. average. Beyond theft, reckless driving and drunk driving incidents are also a major concern, with Michigan State Police data showing Detroit consistently records a disproportionately high number of DUI-related crashes. Combine these factors with economic struggles that have delayed road repairs and left neighborhoods with inconsistent traffic enforcement, and it's no surprise Detroit is considered a nightmare for drivers. For residents and commuters, every trip can feel like a gamble between crumbling roads, high crash risks, and the constant threat of car theft. Conclusion: driving in America can be a completely different experience depending on where you are, and these 10 cities highlight just how frustrating, costly, and even dangerous it can get. From endless gridlock in New York City and Los Angeles, to the crumbling infrastructure in Detroit, to reckless drivers in Miami and Atlanta, these cities show the full spectrum of driving challenge. Poor road conditions, soaring insurance rates, high accident numbers, and long commute times aren't just statistics, they're everyday realities for millions of drivers. But here's the bigger takeaway: driving in these cities isn't just inconvenient, it can directly impact quality of life, stress levels, and even financial stability. Between paying thousands more per year for insurance, wasting hundreds of hours stuck in traffic, or constantly risking accidents, living in these areas means that driving comes with an extra burden many other cities don't face. It's why many people factor transportation and traffic safety heavily when choosing where to live. So what do you think? Would you ever consider living in one of these cities despite the driving challenges? Or would the traffic accidents and insurance rates be deal breakers for you? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your experiences. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into the best and worst places to live across the US. Thanks for watching, and drive safe out there.